Hello everyone, welcome to another video. We're going to be going over three of five new features in ECMAScript 6. These five features are very handy. Those of you who code a lot will really find this very helpful if you apply this to your daily coding procedures, programming procedures. So let's get started. So the first one would be the default parameters in ECMAScript 6. If you guys all remember, the default parameters in ECMAScript 5 were very handy. They were very good, but there was a drawback in it. So let's take one example. If we create a function called say info that takes two parameters. One parameter would be a city and a temperature. And we need this function to console log those two parameters, city, and then temperature. Just we're consoling log those two parameters. And if the user does not pass one of these parameters arguments, we need to set a default parameter. So we're going to say if the user passes city, if we have a city argument or parameter passed into this function, it will be equal to that property or argument that's passed into the function. If there is no value, then default it to Chicago. And for the same thing, temperature, if there's no if there's a temperature, assign it to that. But if not, assign it to -1. And now, if we use that function and then pass, for example, displanes. I don't know if I misspelled it. Displanes. And we do not pass the second argument, which is temperature. Let's see what it outputs in our console. Let's navigate into the browser and then see what that output is. Now we see displanes, which we passed into the function. There it is. So it didn't take Chicago. It took the argument that we passed into. But for the second argument, we didn't pass anything to it. So it took -1 as its default parameter. So this functionality was really handy and good, only until an issue came up, and that issue is, as we know, 0 value is falsy. 0 equals to false. So if you pass 0 as a temperature to this function, it's going to evaluate it to a false, and then it's going to assume that there's no argument for temperature, and then it will assign -1 to temperature. So let's take an example. Let's put 0 in here, and then we should be seeing 0 if it's for the desired behavior. So let's see. Let's refresh it. No, actually, it shows -1, and that's an issue. If we put 2 in there, it will show 2. That will work fine. If we put another number, whatever it is, 9, it will show 9 in there. But if we put 0, it will interpret that 0 to false, and it will assign -1 to temperature. And 0 actually is an actual temperature. It's a temperature that we would need. So that issue is solved in ECMAScript 6. And that's the first feature that we're going to be talking about. So let's rewrite this function. Let's say function say info, and then the same thing, pass temperature and city, and then console log those two, city and temperature. And then in here, we can say the default parameter to city is Chicago, and then the default parameter to temperature is -1. So in this format in ECMAScript 6, even if you pass 0 as the value of this temperature argument, it's going to output 0. So let's take a look at that. Let's say info and then pass, let's pass this points again, and then pass 0 as a second argument. Now it should work the desirable way. Yep, there it is. You can see 0 is outputted in there. So that's the first feature, which I hope you guys will all find it very helpful. Let's go to the second feature, which is the template literals. In this feature, in ECMAScript 5, if you want to create, for example, a variable description, and you want that variable to contain a concatenation of two other variables. I mean, a concatenation of one other variable and a string. For example, you have a name variable, and that name is, for example, dough, and then you want to concatenate that name to a string. For example, alpha, dough alpha. If that is the case, if you want to do that, that's actually the way of doing it in ECMAScript 5. So you have to use this operator, this uh, addition operator, in order to get this concatenated, and that should work fine. Let's console log description, and then check our console. Refresh, dough alpha. There's no space in there, just to make it clear. There it is. It's dough alpha, and in ECMAScript 6, you can just change this, put these two inside backticks, and then use curly braces and a $sign, and put your variable in there, and just put your string in here, whatever it is, alpha. So this looks much cleaner, and it would really be very, very helpful when you're writing a lot of code with a lot of long strings to concatenate. So this is going to work the same as the other one, and it looks really cleaner and better. I hope you guys practice using this. Let's see how it works. We refresh, and then there it is. It shows the same thing. Yep, we don't have any issues in there. So that worked. That's the second feature that we're demonstrating today. So let's go to the third feature, which is the multi-line string. We're going to be using the backticks, the same thing. So if you want to create a variable called description, and you want to put a long description in here, whatever it is. This is a tutorial for ES6 for new ES6 features. And then if you want to go to a second line and try continuing to type that is very helpful, something like that, it'll actually will throw an error, unterminated string literal. So in order to avoid this, normally you would be using a forward slash and then n, actually backslash and n, to escape that and do something like that. So that would be an option. But in ECMAScript 6, what you can do is you can wrap this whole thing in backticks, basically. Open a backtick, and then just start typing your string or your note or your long string. This is a tutorial for ES6 features. If you go to new line, you can keep typing. That is very helpful for those of you like that. So you basically don't need to, you don't need that line break. So that is another very handy ES6 feature. So let's go to the third. Let's go to the fourth, which is the distracting assignment. This is one of the very helpful and entertaining features that ES6 has. Let's demonstrate. If you have an object called, for example, an object called info, and you have name in it, John Doe, and you have a gender, say male, and you have age, say 30, and then you want to deconstruct this object. You want to take the name off, or the gender off, or the age off, and then leave the rest of the properties in the object. You can do this. You can say var and then open curly brace, and then write whatever property you need to take off. For example, if I want to take name out of that object, I'm going to type name and then type rest. You can name this to whatever you want. I just like to type it rest. You can name it to remaining, or whatever you want, and then equal it to that object. Now, if you console log remaining, we should only get these two properties in it, gender and age. Let's go and check. Fresh, there it is. You see only age and gender. You don't have name in there. Name is taken out of the object. If you console log the old object info, it stays the same. That didn't change. You refresh and check it. There it is. You have all of the properties in there. But if you console log this remaining property, you have that deconstructed object in there. So that's the fourth feature. The fifth and the last feature is the arrow function. Traditionally, we used to write functions like that, long, and then say console.log. This is ES5 function. And for ECMAScript 6, you can write it differently. You can just use the arrow function, which is like that instead of writing function. You don't need to write function. And yeah, actually, it's that easy. You just need to have those parentheses and the arrow and the curly braces, and then just console log. This is ES6 function. Yep, and we can make this an immediately invoked function by wrapping inside parentheses and doing that. So both of these will input the same thing. Let's check. We need to have these two strings outputted. There it is. The first one, this is ES5 function. Third one, this is ES6 function. As you can see, it's much more much less verbose, and it's easier to write. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Please subscribe and share, and thank you.